Hi, Paul Bedford here from Retention Guru, and in this short session recorded originally back at the beginning of 2021, I talk about building rewards and loyalty programs and things you might do that will actually increase your revenue by increasing your retention. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them in the section down below, or alternatively email me at paul@retentionguru.co.uk and I will get back to you just as soon as I can. For now, just enjoy the session. Now, the fifth thing I would talk about is building rewards and loyalty. And if any of you've got an Apple Watch, you'll be familiar with these rings. These rings complete each day if you've done all the levels of activity that you said you were going to do. And this was me in April 2019, when I first got my Apple Watch and I was trying it out because I was supposedly going to be doing a project on the product, which because of lockdown then didn't happen. But you want to start to think about, can you build a rewards program? Can you build a loyalty program? Now, a rewards program is a program that is an exchange of goods and services for behaviors. So you might be saying, if you refer 5 friends, you get 1 month free. If you visit 12 times in your first month, you get your joining fee back. That is a rewards program. You are rewarding them for a behavior. It is very traditional, classic conditioning. It is, you do this, you get that. If you ever watch the puppy training programs on the TV where they're trying to change the behavior of puppies, they use rewards and treats to get the dog to behave in a particular way. It's exactly the same thing. And I'm sorry if you find that uncomfortable, but we actually behave the same way. It's Rogers, I think, was the psychologist that did that. Rewards, exchange for behavior. Now, the other one that you can look at is a loyalty program. A loyalty program will cost you almost no money because it's actually about building an emotional connection with the business. It's about feeling this relationship that it's similar to the relationship you have with your friends, your colleagues, sports teams or brands. And many of you will follow sports teams or particular brands, and you have an emotional connection to them independent of what you actually spend or get involved with. I know I've got a lot of friends who follow soccer. I follow soccer, but I've got some friends who are real fans of their clubs. And if their club has a bad day or a bad game and they loses, they're in a bad mood. Now, they didn't play. They weren't on the pitch. But they're in a bad mood because of someone else's behavior. That is a sense of loyalty. Apple have created a sense of loyalty throughout its business with its client group by making them feel special. It makes them feel cool. It makes them feel hip. It makes a man of my age feel like I'm young and trendy because I've got an iPhone. It's done that very, very well. Has it ever discounted its products for me so that I can buy more of them? No. All it seems to do is put the price up each time. But am I loyal to Apple? I am. One of the other things Apple does is, and a lot of technology companies do, is they design their product so when you get really familiar with using their product, using someone else's product, like an Android device, actually feels clunky and slow because you've invested so much time in using their product that you become accustomed to it and familiar with it, and then you put up with any of the changes they make, like no headphone jack for your headphones, because I'm not young enough and trendy enough to use Wi-Fi for my headphones. Other things you can do in the club though environment, particularly in the gym environment, is where you've got equipment where customers have got used to using that particular equipment. And when you're going for a refurbishment, one of the things I always recommend, unless you're a PT studio or a strength and conditioning studio, I would recommend the same brand of equipment throughout the club. The reason I say I'm not worried about it in a PT studio is that's fully supervised all the time. But if someone comes into your club and they need to learn how to use the treadmill, it's much easier to learn how to use the treadmill if the treadmill, the bike, the cross trainer and everything else all have a similar console. It's much easier to learn how to adjust the resistance machines if the adjustments are all in a similar place or done in a similar way. Whereas if you have different equipment all over the place, you have to learn the uniqueness of that piece of equipment. And it's a little bit like learning to drive 5 or 6 different cars. A lot of the things are in the same place, but some of the hazard lights might be somewhere different. The way in which you turn on the air conditioning might be from a center console rather than the screen, or there are things on. It's that. So find ways to get people involved in your business. Challenges are, again, a good way of building loyalty because people feel part of something. Put people into teams. If you're working towards, let's say, this month we're going to row 250,000 meters on the Concept 2 rowers, or the rowers we have in the club, put people into groups of 5 as a team and say, as a team, how much can you contribute? Just by putting people in teams or putting people in groups is going to build this sense of loyalty, this sense of grouping. And if you're paying attention to what Peloton are doing at the moment, they're allowing on their platform groups of friends to all be displayed on the screen together at the same time, rather than a group of random people. So if I'm turning up at 5 o'clock to do an online class and my friends are there and I can see my friends are there, again, that builds that sense of loyalty. So find ways where you can get a commitment or even create an identity around certain behaviors. I know some of you watching this, you have groups of people that you've labeled and they've accepted those labels because of the time of day they use your club or the age group that they fit within. People like that sense of I'm part of something a little bit unique, a little bit different. It's a club within a club. That type of thing does build loyalty very, very quickly. Now, there's an unusual diagram because both of these arrows move from bottom left to top right. But if you look at the top one first, the more you can get, it's called algorithmic tasks. The more you can get people to follow the rewards-based things, you do 12 visits, I will give you this, the more likely they are to stay as a result of the program. So that's a rewards program. Now, a rewards program may cost you some money. And I said, no cost strategies. You can reward people if you think about it. If someone stayed longer, they're giving you more money than if they didn't stay longer. You could take a small proportion of that money and pay for something. I'm going to give you an example of that. The emotional connection builds over time. It's very difficult to build an emotional connection quickly, but you do it by building a sense of purpose. You do it through social interactions, both between staff and customer, and customer and customer. You create this sense of connectiveness. You can build these separately, you can build them together. And in fact, one of the projects that I worked on for this big company that I mentioned at the beginning, which we never got to deploy, was actually a program based around starting with rewards and moving to emotional things. So it didn't become an ongoing issue with giving them more things to try and keep them exercising. We moved them from rewarding them for behavior to rewarding them for connection. Now, Peloton, I've mentioned Peloton already. This is the 100 ride shirt. If you're recognized as doing 100 rides, you can get this t-shirt. Now, what happens when someone does 100 rides? Well, they celebrate it. They make sure everybody else knows that they've done 100 rides. So it's not just giving someone a t-shirt for turning up. It's actually getting them to use that and share that information with others so that it actually becomes part of the social norm. And if any of you have tried Peloton, they're very, very good at getting you to think doing 100 rides is normal. Doing 1,000 workouts isn't that unusual, because they're showing people that that's the natural habits that go on. They're providing that through social proof. I think I saw Terry's name early on. So Terry Bissonette and Jeff, who own a club just southeast, I can't remember, I'm getting it wrong now. It's in Minnesota. I was going to say it's southeast of Minneapolis, but wherever it is, it's in Minnesota. This is what they call their 144 challenge. What you're seeing in that image are the names of all the people who've attended at least 144 times in the past 12 months. So they have these lists at the end of the year, but each month they have a monthly challenge, and each month the challenge is to attend 12 times in the month. If you attend 12 times in the month, you do get put on a list, and that gets displayed on the wall. At the end of the year, if you've attended 12 times for 12 months, you get put on the 144 list. What you see here is approximately 1/3 of the customer base attending 144 times or more per year. Their club has an average lifespan of 50 months for customers. That's over 4 years. It's a single site business. It's part of a franchise, but it's a single site business. What do they do to reward their 144s? They give them a t-shirt. And you can only earn it, you can't buy it. And it's not given to you. As much as I love them, and I know other people love them too, Jeff and Terry aren't giving me one of these t-shirts because I haven't done 144 workouts in their club. And that is the right thing to do. It's absolutely the right thing to do. But think about how much additional income that's generated for that business by getting people to keep turning up month after month after month after month. There may be some secondary spend there, but each month is worth a significant amount of money. So the cost of the t-shirts is probably inconsequential relative to the actual keeping of the customers. Apple do it very well with the watch. Many of the Apple things are their intrinsic rewards that they do. If you've got an Apple Watch, you'll recognize the image on the left-hand side, the rings that close. The little blue one is you stood for more than a minute 12 times a day. The greeny yellow one is your exercise. And the red one is that you completed enough physical activity for a moderate level. But they're also giving badges, and they reward this very eloquently with nudges and prompts throughout the day. You could harness Apple. You could say to people, if you've got an Apple Watch, what are the targets we're setting? Help them achieve the targets on their own watch. I know Marissa Hoff's on this call. Her business partner, Chris Stevenson, I remember watching early 2020, I think it was, Chris posting month after month after month of all 3 rings being complete. Like the perfect month. I managed it for 1 month. He managed it at least for 3 months, where he'd worked out every single day for 3 months, which gives him badges, points. It didn't give him any discount off of Apple products, but it probably gave him a great sense of achievement just in terms of, wow, what it looks like. I know when I had the perfect month, I looked at it and thought, that looks great. I absolutely love that. So think about ways you could actually harness other people's technology, or if you've got this within your club management systems, points, badges and leaderboards are the most simplistic version of gamification. There are 10 different categories for gamification and over 90 different things you can do to gamify a product or service.